Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by, and if you've returned, thank you so much again, guys. I feel like I need to move back because I feel like I'm so upping with you guys. But make sure to grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's get on with today's video. So if you hadn't guessed by today's title of the video, I'm going to be telling you whether Booktok books or Booktube books were worth the hype, guys, and whether or not you should or shouldn't read them. Now, obviously, everyone is open to their own opinion, so don't take mine as literal because our reading taste may be completely different. So I haven't really got an order to this, guys. I just grabbed quite a few off my bookshelf, and that is how we have gathered today's books. So I think I'm just going to try and go as close to me as possible and then stretch out. So I think we're going to try and start with fantasy first, but we may end up a way out of the fantasy realm. So I've got The Serpent in the Wings of the Night by Clarissa Broadbent, and guys, I definitely agree. If you have not read this book, I solely recommend it. So I'll read you the blurb and then you can make your decision from there. But I had the best time reading this. I think I rated this a 5-star. I'm adamant I rated it 5-star or a 4.5 star. I had the best time. And Clarissa Broadbent, this was the first book I ever read by her, and I have not been disappointed ever since. But this is the adopted human daughter of the Nightborn vampire king Aurea, carved her place in a world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is to enter the Kajari, a legendary tournament held by the goddess of death herself. But winning won't be easy against the most vicious warriors from all three vampire houses. To survive, Aurea will be forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. Everything about Rohan is dangerous. He is ruthless, vampire, and efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown and her greatest competition. Yet that terrifies Aurea most of all is that she finds herself strangely drawn to him. But there's no room for compassion in the Kajari, and nothing more deadly than love. Honestly, it was fantastic, and I think it had a good amount of pace, and I had the best time with this, so I absolutely recommend that one. The next one is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, I recommend this whole series all the time. If you want one in fantasy, but you don't want a lot of romance in it, I solely just recommend that. If you're getting into fantasy, I recommend this book so badly, guys. So in this, we are following Jude and Carden, and Jude is a mortal, and Carden is a fae, and he's a prince, and the mortals come over to the Faeland for a particular reason. Guys, read the book to find out. And he basically torments her. And that's all I'm going to tell you. I had the best time though. We then have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, and this was the first ever series or any book that I'd ever read by Lynette Noni, but I have not completed a series so quickly in my whole entire existence. I think I read this series back to back pretty much, and I don't ever do that with series, guys. But in this, we are following Kiva, and Kiva is basically a prison healer. She's been in prison for the last 10 years in one of the most deadliest prisons there ever is, and basically then she gets a letter to say the rebel queen had arrived and that she wasn't to die, basically, and to try and save her, and that they were coming for her. And that's all I'm really going to say about this. And there was a lovely love interest, and I just had the best time, guys. And if you haven't read this, I really recommend that you read this because it was good. We then have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I rated this whole series overall probably like a 4.5 star. I rated the first one and the last one 5 stars. So Powerless and Fearless was 5 stars, and I had the best time in this series, guys. And I just think if you haven't read this, I really recommend. So in this, we are following the Elites and we are following the Ordinaries. So the Elites have possessed powers, and they've kind of overtaken their the part that they live in, basically, and they feel like they were gifted to them by the plague, which those born ordinary are just that, banished from the kingdom of Illyria, and is shunned from society. So then basically Payton is actually an ordinary, but she fakes that she's got gifts to be able to get into the trials, and they're known as the Purging Trials, and she blends and uses a psychic ability, basically. And with those trials, she meets a specific somebody, and I'm not going to tell you anymore because you need to read if you haven't read already. We then have the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. I had the best time reading this, and it was so cute. I had the best time, and I just remember just how much I love Jax and Evangelina. So in this, we're following Evangelina Fox, and basically her sister is kind of, due to get married to the person that she loves, and she wants everything she could possibly do to stop this from happening. So within regards to that, she decides to go to the Prince of Hearts, known as Jax, and strike up a deal basically, and in return he gets 3 kisses basically, and that's all I'm going to tell you, and you go read. We then have Caraval by Stephanie Garber as well. This is the series before the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I read this after the Once Upon a Broken Heart series and I still understood it, but it is recommended that you read Caraval than you read Once Upon a Broken Heart. But in this, you are following a Caraval basically that gets opened, and you are following, I think it is Donatella and Scarlett. Yeah, Donatella and Scarlett, and they both get invited basically to the Caraval world, and that's what I'm going to tell you. You need to find out, guys. You need to find out, but something mysterious goes on. We then have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, and I did actually annotate this, and you would have seen me annotate this. As a first read, I absolutely had the best time. The second read, I was struggling, so I did reread this, but I had the best time reading it, and I genuinely think it is such a book series, but I recommend. It's YA. Well, I would say it was YA and then is no longer YA. I think it's now been made into like an adult fantasy because of the stuff that's in it. But in this, you are following Juliet, and Juliet has the most lethal touch. You touch her, you basically... And in that, the re-establishment basically want her to be contained and want her as a weapon. In comes Aaron Warner, and I'm going to leave you there, guys. There's loads of plots, loads of on your edge, and I think you should just go read it, guys. We then have Alchemized by Ceylin Yu, and yeah, she's a chunk. She's all pretty and annotated, and I recommend you read this book. If you like Harry Potter and you like Hermione Granger, I can never say her name right, and Draco Malfoy, and you want like fan fiction, this is for you guys. This is literally for you. I had the best time. I rated this a 4.5 or 4.75, and when I tell you I had the best time, I literally sat and devoured it. And I think it took me 2-3 days to devour a big chunk book. And I honestly had the best time. I would look up trigger warnings given what this is about, but it was so good. So in this, we are following Helena Marino, and she was an alchemized in the Resistance, and obviously something happened to her Resistance. And then you are following the necromancies, I believe, who are, yeah, the necromancies. Well, not really necromancies, are they? The people that are against, the people that are against the what are they called? The Resistance. The people against the Resistance and things like that. And I feel like I don't want to give too much away, but there is an absolute cute love twist in here, and I solely recommend if you haven't read this already. And let's just look at how stunning she looks with all of the annotations. We then have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I had the best time. Mine is all pretty and annotated as well. I had the best time, and guys, if you've not read this series and you've been living under a rock, I solely recommend that you go read it because it's stunning. It's 10/10, 5 stars, chef's kiss. I don't want to hear no complaints about it. But in this, we are following Iris and we're following Roman, and they both have like magical typewriters, and they don't realise that they're talking to each other. Roman figures it out quicker than Iris, but they have magical typewriters. And if you read Wild Reverence, which is the kind of like the prelude kind of sequel to this book, I recommend you do because it sets it up for this. Then you realise, so they're both like competitive at work, they both work in the same place, and they're both article people. They write articles basically, and I'm not going to ruin it anymore. So there's a massive war going on, and I think you just need to read it, guys. We then have Diabound by Sable Sorensen, and I had the best time reading this, guys. I read this back in January, and I still think about this book to the day. However, I do have one thing: Furybound let me down. But Diabound as a whole, as a Booktok book, had the best time, loved it dearly, and it did not disappoint. I think I rated this a 4 or 4.75, I believe. And in this, we are following basically a group of people, and Meryn has to basically become an elite warrior. She has to basically bond with Diabound wolves, and in that, she's never liked Diabound wolves. She's got a strong hatred towards them. She ends up having to bond with one, and I'm not telling you anymore. Read the rest. And then we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I think I rated this a 4.5 or 4.75. I had the best time, and I'm not one for reading sapphic romances, but this was stunning. This was absolutely top tier, stunning. V.E. Schwab knocked it out the park. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. But I had the best time reading this. So in this, we are following 3 different vampires, basically. We are following one from 1532. We're then following one from 1827. And then we are following one from 2019. And you realise how they're all interlinked, and it was stunning, and the romance and everything was stunning. And I suggest that you go read the book, because I'm not telling you no more, guys, because I don't want to ruin it for you. But this was a masterpiece, guys. We then have one more fantasy book left. I think we have one more. Yeah, one more fantasy book left, guys. And that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I think everyone's mums, grands and yans have literally read this book and devoured it. I also was one. I rated this 5 stars. I don't like the rest of the series. I'm not gonna lie. I think I rate the last 2 books in that series a 3-star. But I think I need to reread, guys. But Fourth Wing, we are following Xaden and we are following Violet. Violet was known as a scriber, but she then goes and joins the Dragon Rider Quadrant, as that's where all of her family come from, basically, other than her dad, who was a scribe. And you basically end up following Violet's journey through Basgyth War College, which is where they're at, and she meets the infamous Xaden Ryerson, and there's fireworks and there's magic, and I loved it. And I'm not telling you no more, guys, because you go read the book. You will have the best time. I promise you, you will have the best time reading this. The plot twists at the end, I loved it. I was obsessed. I was insane. And I rated this a 5-star, guys. So if that's not enough, I suggest you go read it. We are then going to go into, I think we're going to go into general fiction, guys, because this is pretty much a smaller pile. So we have The Favourites by Lane Fargo. And I'm not going to lie, guys, don't hate me. I rated this 3 stars. However, I think because I was in a reading slump, I felt like I couldn't give it what I wanted to give it. So I am going to retry this, and I am going to give my honest review. And I am planning on reading books that I didn't rate highly, and whether that is because I was in a reading slump. So we will do it, guys. However, The Favourites by Lane Fargo. We are following 2 ice skaters. We are following Katarina Shaw and Heath Rocher, and you watch them through the Olympics, and you watch their ice skating figure journey, basically. And you kind of watch a scandal unravel. And I'm going to read it, but I do have the Waterstones exclusive edition, hence why mine's purple. But that is that one. We then have The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This was Chef Kiss. I had the best time. I think I rated this a 4.5 or 4.75, guys, and I had the best time. If you have not read this book, I literally recommend it. Even if you're not a general fiction person, I genuinely recommend you read this book, because I had the best time. And when I saw this floating everywhere and everyone was crying, yeah, I see why everyone was crying, and I also see why it was rated very high. But I had the best time, and in this you're basically following Sybil, and she writes a load of letters to people, and yeah, that's what I'm really going to say. And you basically read her letters, and then something really sad happens and you cry, and I will send my love to you all when you get to that part. But definitely check this book out. It was stunning. I'm gonna have a little drink break because it's literally like 20 odd degrees outside, and I'm in a jumper, and I kind of slowly regret my decisions. We then have 2 Taylor Jenkins read books. So we have 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and we have Atmosphere. So with 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you are following Evelyn Hugo, and she has 7 husbands, and you see her life from when she started to how it ended, basically, and there are plot twists, and I think this book was stunning. It did take me 2 attempts. The first time I DNF'd this book, the second time I literally sat and devoured it in one sitting and had the best time, and I think I rated this a 4 or a 4.5 star in the end. But honestly, I would love to sit and reread it because it was stunning. And yeah, you're kind of learning from the 1950s all the way to the 80s and how it kind of happens, and yeah, she gets someone to write her story. And I had the best time, guys, so go read that. And then Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid was released last year, and I only read it this year, guys. I know, don't hate me, but I had the best time reading this, guys. I rated this a 4.75, and I literally sat there and read it in one sitting. Was I crying? Was I an absolute weeping mess? Yes, I was. Was it stunning, and was it delivered to absolute perfection? Yes, it was. And in this, we are following Joan Goodwin, and they all sign up to be NASA, and you follow a group of people who want to become NASA engineers. engineers basically in the space and astronauts and that. And you basically follow Joan's life into becoming an astronaut and kind of the sacrifices she's had to make and what it really takes to become an astronaut. And it was stunning, and there is a romance subplot in here and it was stunning as well, and I did honestly burst into tears. We then have also got 2 historical fictions, and we have 2 by none other than Kristin Hannah. We have The Nightingale and we have The Woman. In The Nightingale, we are following 2 sisters, one who's more obedient and the other one is pretty much a rebel. And you are following, they're called Vivian and Isabella, and they have basically been separated for years, and you kind of realise how their separation has caused them to have different opinions on the world and the war. And you are in World War II when the Nazis came over to France basically, and this was in, I think it was 1940s, I want to say. I think it was, yeah, 1939. And then you go to basically, yeah, so you go to 1989, that's where you go to, and then you come back to 1995 where it's kind of their present basically. But it was stunning, it was heartbreaking. Did I sob to beyond my heart's content? Yes I did, but this was absolutely stunning. It was chef's kiss, and I really recommend if you haven't read already. We then have The Woman, also by Kristin Hannah, and in this we are following a woman who's gone to war basically. Her name is Frances Frankie McGrath, and she went to become a nurse, and she was in, yeah, she goes to join her brother in the Vietnam War as an army nurse corps, and you basically follow how the war and what it's done to her and how it's affected people very differently. Again, this was stunning and it made me cry so much, and if it was honestly perfection, I rated this a 5-star and read it all in one sitting. If that isn't enough to tell you to go read the book, I don't know what is, guys. We then are going to also finish off with Yesteryear by Carol Clare Burke. I've seen this book everywhere, guys, and I rated this a 3.5 star. I had the best time. I think the first half was really quick and I enjoyed it, and then it got to the second half and it was dragging a little bit, but I did like the premise of the story and I did like the premise of what was happening. So in this we are following Natalie, and Natalie is basically, she portrays that she lives a perfect life on social media, but actually behind closed doors that's not exactly what she's experiencing, and it kind of gives you an understanding of how social media can portray something but actually in reality it's completely different. And I think that was such an important theme to the book, was on social media you can portray whatever you want, how you want, and then in reality it does look nothing like that. Some people can do both. I however do not. Honestly, I do not. Sometimes I look so put together, but on other days I'm like trying to just, yeah, I'm just trying to get out the door sometimes, not gonna lie guys. But I really liked it. I thought it had a really good twist on the book, and I just had the best time, guys, I'm not gonna lie. So I do recommend it. I just think for me personally, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but I do solely recommend the book and I had the best time anyways. So don't take my 3.5 star as a negative thing. I had the best time enjoying it, but I think I just wanted more out of it. We are then going to go into romance, and romance for me is very quickly and very easy for me to do. So we have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and in this we are following Percy, and basically Percy left Barry Island a long time ago. No, Barry's Bay, sorry. I don't know why I thought Barry Island. I don't know, guys. But we are following Percy. She left Barry's Bay a long time ago, but something happened between her and Sam, and it's been quite a few years, and Sam's mum's died, and Percy's come back to kind of support them as she was quite close to his mum. And yeah, you kind of work out how much life and kind of stuff that they've missed out since of what has happened. Not telling you guys, but I rate this a 5 star. It was utter perfection. I had the best time. We then have When in Rome by Sarah Adams, and this was really good. I've only read the first one. I haven't read anything else out of this series, but that isn't, it's just due to the fact that I just haven't got around to it. But this was stunning and I had the best time. So in this we are following Amelia, and she's basically a pop princess, and she just wants a bit of time where she can just be herself and not have cameras. And in this walks Noah Walker, and he's a chef basically, and or a bakery. He's a baker or a chef, one of the two. And yeah, you kind of see in Rome, I think it's Rome, Kentucky. Yeah, Rome, Kentucky. you see love blossom, and it was cute, and I do recommend this one. We then have The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I had the best time reading this. I think I rated this a 4 or 5 star when I first read it, and yeah, I had the best time reading it. In this, we are following Catalana, and Catalana has her sister's wedding, and she basically has to go to her sister's wedding, but she has to bring a +1, and so in comes Aaron Blackford, where, by the way, they work together, but in comes Aaron Blackford, and they decide to create a deal where they'll fake date for 3 days of the wedding to prove that they are actually in a relationship. And this was good. I enjoyed it at the time, but I was very new into my reading journey, so I don't know whether I would say the same now, but I definitely recommend it if you're getting new into romance, because I did have such a good time. We then have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and this is the first book in the Dreamlands Billionaire series, and in this one we're following Rowan and Zara, and Rowan is basically a business owner. He owns the production company, he owns 5 Stars, and he also owns themes parks, and in regards, he has to basically do a certain thing to earn his inheritance, and Zara basically submitted something. She was drunk, she submitted her opinion, Rowan found out, and they end up working together. I thought the premise of the book was cute, and I'm now overthinking it from when I first read it to what I think now. I have read better books. I did have a good time, but I think there were better books than this one. My favourite out of the series is Terms and Conditions, and that was stunning. But yeah, wasn't my fave, but I would recommend it if you're getting into romance. We then have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Now, I only started my Abby Jimenez journey last year, and I honestly am so mad at myself for not starting any of her books sooner, because this was stunning. This was honestly amazing. I want to say I rated this a 4 or a 4.5 star. I had the best time. In this, we are following Alex Montgomery, and she is a ER nurse, I believe. No, an ER doctor, sorry. And Daniel Grant comes from a completely different world. He's a carpenter. They come from different parts of the world. Alexis comes from money, and Daniel comes from having to earn his money to make a living, basically. And yeah, they end up meeting, and they end up, you know, falling in love, but realize that their worlds are very different, and they have to battle that. And I think this was just stunning, and I solely recommend reading this series. There is a whole series, and I genuinely enjoyed it. We then have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. If you do not know, and you haven't been following me on TikTok, I rave about this series all the time. The Dream Harbour the Dream Harbour series is literally one of my god tier favorite romance books there is. They are cute, they are cheesy, and I have the best time every single time. In this, we are following Jeannie, and we're following Logan. Logan's kind of like a grumpy guy, and he's a local farmer, and he basically delivers some of the food items to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And Jeannie's grandma has basically, I think it's grandma, yeah, Jeannie's grandma basically passed away and gave her the Pumpkin Spice Cafe basically to look after, and she wasn't planning on staying in Dream Harbour, but lo and behold, she ends up loving the village and the town that she lives in. It's a small town, it's fantastic, and just have the best time. It's cute, it's nothing serious, but they're so cute, and I love every minute of every of those books. We then have Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Now, when I first read this, I thought this was 10/10 amazing, but now reading a lot of other romance books, I don't think this is as good as what it was when I first read it, but I did have a good time. And I think I definitely prefer her standalones to her series, so I definitely recommend her standalones, but all of her series I've not been the biggest fan of. And I found that the male main character and the female main character really annoyed me a little bit in this one, but I did have a good read. If you're trying to still find what you like in romance, I definitely would give it a go. But yeah, it was good as a read, I'm not gonna lie, but I did have a good time, but I think it could have been better. We then have You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. Now guys, I'm an Emily Henry lover, but I despise this book. I did not like this book one bit. It was not my favourite, and I feel like I was really upset when this wasn't one of my favourites, because I enjoy anything that Emily Henry writes, but I just did not get on with this book. So in this one, we're following Poppy and Alex, and they always go on vacation together, and they end up stopping, and yeah, they end up not doing it anymore, and you kind of find out why and what happened. So it was good, but I didn't have as good of experience as other people have, basically. We then have Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I literally rave about this book. I had the best time, loved it, so good. And in this we are following January and Gus, and January is a hopeless romantic. She basically narrates her life like she's in a blockbusters movie, basically. I think that's so cute. And then we have Gus, who's kind of more of a serious literary guy, and you wouldn't think that opposites attract, but they do. And basically they both have writer's block, and they find a way to overcome it. And I really enjoy this book, and they are the cutest, and I really recommend reading this. And it's a cute summer read as well, so if you're in the UK or in the other side of the world where summer is prevalent upon us, I solely recommend it. We then have Flawless by Elsie Silver. Now, I literally love all of the books in the series, but this one in particular, which kicked off obviously the Chestnut Spring series, I enjoyed it, but I preferred the others to this book. And in this we are following Summer and we are following Rhett, and Summer basically works for this kind of agency, and she tries to make Rhett have a good image. They are forced to spend time together, God forbid, they're forced to spend time together, and sparks fly. And I had a good time. I think I just preferred the other books in the series to this one. We then have Throttled by Lauren Asher, which is the first book in the Dirty Air series. I do rate the Dirty Air series overall, like I absolutely rate it, and it was so good. And I love a good sports romance, so for me I had the best time. But in this we are following Noah and we are following Maya, and Noah is Noah is a Formula 1 driver, and he loves to win. He's very competitive. And then you've got Maya Alator, who is the brother of a Formula 1 driver, but they're on different teams, if that makes sense. And yeah, she basically is here to clean up his image. And yeah, I do recommend you read that, you guys. We then have Mile High by Liz Tomfordy. Now, I'm a Liz Tomfordy stan. Anything she writes, you best believe I will read it. I will literally sit there and read it. But this one, absolutely not a chance. I rated this 3 stars, and I wasn't going to continue the Windy City series. So we did end up with, I didn't like this book as much as I did the others, but don't let this put you off, because I still genuinely enjoyed every moment of the book, and I had the best time, guys. So don't let that obviously disappoint you going in for the rest of the series. So after we then have Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, I don't think I need to let anybody else know what I think. This book is absolutely 10/10, stunning. I had the best time, guys. And I honestly, if you have not read this, I solely recommend that you literally put down what you're reading and you just go read this, because the trauma in this book was everything for me, guys. It was everything, and I had the best time. I obviously, again, please read trigger warnings. It is they are chunky books, and they do have a lot of sensitive information in them, and they do cover a lot of sensitive topics, but I had the best time. And if you haven't read this, I literally recommend that you go read it, because it was so good. So in this we are following Johnny and Shannon, and Johnny is the captain of a rugby club, the rugby team, and Shannon has basically been bullied for a lot of her childhood and a lot of her life, and she basically ends up going to the Toman College to get away from all of the bullies, and in meets Johnny, and it was stunning. It was stunning, guys. Loved every minute. We then have The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, and in this we are following 2 people who basically share a flat. One is up in the morning and the other one is coming home when the other one leaves. And this book was stunning, guys. I had the best time reading this, and I'm not gonna lie, I think this would definitely be a book that I would love to reread. And it's so floppy, but this is definitely a book that I would love to reread, because I did rate it really highly. And yeah, if you haven't read this, I do recommend reading it. I think, would my opinions change if I didn't read it in its hype? I don't know, guys. That was probably something I would have to figure out, but I do recommend reading this book, and I feel like it is quite a cute little read. We then have 2 Ali Hazelwood books. We have The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. So in this we are following Olive and Adam, and they both end up working, one's a professor and one's a PhD candidate, and basically, yeah, I think they fake boyfriend, fake girlfriend, etc., because someone catches them kissing and they pretend that they're in a couple. And I did enjoy it. I thought it was really cute, and yeah, I think I don't know if I would have the same opinion if I read it now, but I did have a good time and I cannot wait for the movie to come out. We then also have Love on the Brain, and we are following NASA Neuroengineering Project, and we are following Levi and we are following B, and Levi and B don't get along. They are enemies, basically. They don't get along, but B opens an account on her kind of social media of what would Marie Curie do, and Levi finds it and becomes utterly obsessed with it pretty much. And yeah, I feel like just give it a go. I did love this book. I thought it was cute, and I do love a lot of Ali Hazelwood's STEM romances, so I do recommend reading that. We then have two Ashley Poston books. We have The Dead Romantics and The 7-Year Slip. Both of them I totally recommend. So in The Dead Romantics, we are following Florence Day, and basically she is a author, and she's basically struggling to write her book, basically. And then one day her new editor, who's dead, turns up at her door, and you kind of, it's kind of got a bit of magical realism. I had the best time. I rate this 5-star and I was not disappointed, guys. I feel like I don't want to spoil it for you guys, so I just recommend that you go read it. We then have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston as well, and we are following Clementine and someone who in the past 7 years ago. So she opens up her door, and as she opens it up, she realizes she's 7 years in the past. And again, there's a lot of magical realism, and yeah, I definitely love this book. I think this is a cute summary read as well, so I do recommend that you go read this as well. But I had the best time, so let me know what you think. We then have Christina Lauren, Love in Other Words. This is following basically Every Summer After. This is basically just done by another author, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But in this, we are following Macy and we are following Elliot. And Macy and Elliot are next door neighbours, and then one day something happens and you basically find out why they are no longer together. This book made me cry and I had the best time, guys, so I would really solely recommend that you go read this. We then have a couple of dark romances. I think I'm going to leave the dark romances till last, actually. So we then have Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer, and this is a hockey romance, and it is also known as the Vancouver Storm series. This book was stunning and I had the best time, and it was everything. But yeah, I just genuinely love this book. So in this book, we are following Jamie and we are following Pippa. Yeah, Jamie and Pippa. Pippa is into her music, and basically her ex-partner crushed her dreams of ever wanting to get into music, basically. And Jamie is the hockey captain, I believe. Yeah, he's an NHL player, and he's a grumpy goalie, actually. He was in a grumpy goalie, and now Pippa becomes his living assistant, and they realise that they actually know each other, and it was stunning, it was cute, and I had the best time. We then have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This was stunning. I had the best time with this. I feel like it was very, very spicy, but it was good. So in this, we are following Anastasia Allen, who has worked her entire life to skate for Team USA. And she gets a full scholarship to the University of California at Maple Hills, and she becomes on the figure skating team. But basically something happens, and Anastasia's partner wasn't confirmed for her to ice skate with him again, so something happens. In comes Nathan Hawkins, and Nathan Hawkins ends up who's a part of the hockey team, has to share a rink with the ice skating because something happened to the hockey rink, basically. And I literally, stunning. I think I will definitely reread this because I definitely need to know what my opinions would be now. And then we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and if you haven't read this, not watched the TV series, are you living under a rock? Because this is stunning. This whole series was stunning, and the TV show was even better. I absolutely had the best time. But in this, we are following Hannah. I've literally just paired two names together. We are following Hannah and we are following Garrett. Garrett Graham is the captain of the ice hockey team at Briar University, and Hannah Wells is a music student at the university as well. And in this, she is obsessed with Justin Cole, and Justin Cole is a part of the football team, and she's liked him for a very, very long time. Something traumatic has happened to her, that's all I'm going to say. And basically you find that she uses Garrett Graham and Hannah both basically come up with a deal, hence the title, that she will help him study if he helps her get the guy that she wants by fake dating. And that is all I'm going to say. And then we are on to the last 3 or 4 books, guys. I promise. I've probably been rabbing him for God knows how long. But the first one, Haunted Adeline by H.D. Carlton. I'm just going to leave it here for a second. In all her glory. I thought this book was stunning. This was the first book I ever read for dark romance. I want to tell you guys, I definitely say pace yourself going into this because it was absolutely wild. I was on the seat of my pants the whole entire time, but I loved it and I had the best time, and I cannot wait for the day that I reread this entire series because I honestly had the best time. In this, you are following Adeline and you're following Zaid. Zaid ends up stalking Adeline and a lot of other things, guys. And yes, I think that's all I'm going to say. But Zaid owns a security company, basically. And I definitely think that a reread is on the horizon. I am really annoyed, though, that my copy is so, like, stiff. Like, it is so stiff and it annoys me that it's so stiff. But so recommend, guys. We then have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. Now, I loved this whole entire series, but the basically Never After series is a series of fairy tale retellings, but they are dark and twisted and basically turn into dark romances. So obviously Hooked is Peter Pan, and in this we are following Wendy, Peter Michaels and James. And James is basically Captain Hook and Peter Michaels is the dad of Wendy, basically. And James practically uses Wendy as a pawn to be able to destroy her dad, Peter. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say, guys, go check it out. It was stunning and I had the best time. We then have Flock by Kate Stewart. Now, I'd been putting this book off for the longest time reading this book, and I was really mad at myself when I did because I literally buried my heart and soul into this series and I loved every minute of it. So in here we are following Cecilia and we are following a group of guys who are in like this dark society, basically. And you have Dominic and you have Sean. I'm gonna cry. Yes, so you are following basically these 3 people, and yeah, yeah, they have their own rules. They're part of a secret society, and yeah, be prepared for your heart to be absolutely ripped to shreds, guys. But I had the best time reading it and I solely recommend it. We then have our last book of this video, and it is none other than the Mindfuck series. Just gonna leave it here for a second in all its glory. So in this we are following a serial killer. Honestly, the floppiness of this book, I definitely plan on rereading this as well because I'm gonna have the best time when I reread this. Maybe I might annotate it, who knows. But in this we are following what's even the girl's name? That's a great start, Rhiannon. We're following Logan and we are following Lana. And Lana is a serial killer and she basically has a list of all the people that she's going to act revenge on, basically. And Logan is a FBI agent who's been hunting her case, and he basically, yeah, they end up becoming together. And it's the best thing. I had the best time, and you kind of go through all of her life and what basically happened, and it was stunning. This book was 10/10. I rated all of the books 5 stars, and I rate the book as a whole 5 stars, guys. And I think you just need to go in blindly, guys. I honestly just recommend that you go in blindly and you just absolutely have the best time and you devour it, because I did. But those are all of my Booktok book recs, and are they kind of worth the hype, kind of. I feel like I've rambled on far too long for this video, so I'm gonna love you and leave you all, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.